Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And the only thing more sick than I am right now are these class set bonuses for Dragonflight. This was a feature that I was a bit worried that wasn't going to get enough time to actually be iterated on moving into the next expansion. It's something that could have left a hole in a lot of classes, whereas now I think there is a lot to get excited about. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at all of the classes set bonuses that have been posted on this update and going over their pros and their cons, whether they're good or whether they're bad, or whether they could make a class really exciting and really emphasize on their kind of strength and elements that they need to be emphasized on, or if they've maybe even completely missed the mark. It is important to note that their philosophy on set bonuses is a little bit more different this time around. It's a lot less complex and interactive than previously, which makes sense. And I don't think we would want the borrowed power, right? If set bonuses are going to keep getting hashed out every patch and kind of just be a little bit of a tiny flavor adjustment for every spec, you don't want them to be this giant involved thing. I'd personally rather it be almost used as a secondary tuning knob to be able to enhance the experience, maybe certain abilities that are underperforming that they could get upped in an interesting way, or something like that. And then have all the complexity be within the core of the class and the talents themselves, which we've already seen have really good impacts. Another goal that came from wanting you to all have a chance to get familiar with Dragonflight's new classes is that we want class sets to have minimal impact on your talent choices. We want you to be able to play the way you choose and whatever content you prefer. As a result, they generally modify core class abilities or talents that are learned near the top of the tree. They may have synergies with talents further down the tree, but they shouldn't make you feel like specific builds or capstone talents are required. So there's a really big juggling act there for these. It makes me wonder how good they're actually going to be. And if you want to stay up to date with class changes and news updates for everything related to Dragonflight, then make sure you hit the subscribe button so you're never missing a beat. You're always ahead of the competition, and it would be greatly appreciated in my journey to 100,000 subscribers. Now, acquiring the set bonuses is also an important aspect for me. Is it going to be RNG? Is there the time-weighted catalyst effect? When sets returned as a major endgame feature 9.2, we debuted the creation catalyst as a tool for players to access and complete their sets with the following goals. Players of all types should have access to powerful bonuses and fun appearances, even if raiding is not their preferred method of engagement. New and returning players catching up should not have a monumental task to become ready to fight alongside friends. While it can confidently carry the system forward as an evergreen feature for players to learn and understand intuitively, we think those goals were met, and while there's room for improvement both in the understanding the means by which charges accrue as well as tuning prohibitive currency costs for alts, we're happy to say the catalyst, which will be known as the inspiration catalyst in Dragonflight and just the catalyst moving forward, will return to the Isle as a companion system to class sets for the foreseeable future. We'll have more details to share on everything catalyst related in a future update, but for now it's worth mentioning that we're planning on keeping the unlock cadence the same to start. That is to say, the 6th week after Mythic Raid becomes available in Dragonflight Season 1. So this basically means for the first 6 weeks, you're RNGing whether or not you're getting your set bonuses from the raid. I really didn't like that. It was fine after the fact, to get a little bit of currency, upgrade your tier sets. Does this also mean how much PvE are we going to have to do in the new daily quest zones to get currency similar to Zereth Mortis? A lot of kind of worrisome stuff in this for me as a PvP player specifically. That's a bit concerning. I didn't like the time gain on it. I mean, it's going to pad participation on the raid because for the first 6 weeks, the only chance you got it. But what I hate about it is the RNG element. I'm not even necessarily that I just don't want to do the raid. It's just going into the raid and then not seeing the piece drop. It's like I already didn't really want to go into the raid, and now the piece didn't even drop. So guess I'm out of luck. And that experience has just been really negative for me for some time. I'm not a big fan of that. Playing with these bonuses. To try these set bonuses in the beta, log into the endgame realm. Oh, I have to make a new... Oh, wait, no. This is the same realm. Okay. Near the current PvP profession vendors in Orgrimmar and Stormwind. Please share your... All right, let's actually look at the abilities. Blood. When a bone shield charge is consumed, you have a 20% chance to generate a rune. After 10 bone shield charges are consumed, you gain 10% damage and haste for 10 seconds. It seems like that would be a lot of fun. With all the AoE damage that Blood DK has been doing lately in Mythic Plus. Pretty standard, straightforward. Good little bonus of damage output. Frost Death Knight. Obliterate and Frost Scythe are going to get 15% increased critical strike chance. And they have a 15% chance to not consume Killing Machine. Really like the emphasis on Obliterate and massive critical strike effects, like making Frost the burst spec. This is really well done. Unholy set bonus, Bursting and Festering Wound grants you Ghoul Violent Fusion, increasing their damage and attack speed by 10%. Your primary ghoul's attacks have a 15% chance to increase your damage and haste by 10%. This chance is increased during Violent Fusion. There's a lot of stuff that Unholy's getting based around their pets and like empowering everything going on with it. This is going to synergize really effectively with it. Going to be really nasty. Havoc Demon Hunter, Chaos Strike, and Blade Dance critically strike. Chance to critically strike increased by 5%, and their critical strike damage increased by 10%, just flat damage. Chaos Strike and Blade Dance have a 20% chance to increase damage you deal by 8% for 6 seconds, and your critical strikes increase this chance. So just flat throughput on Havoc. You know, picking the fun abilities, the going back and forth. Doesn't feel as thematic as the other ones for me personally, but it's definitely not terrible. Vengeance, Shear and Fracture deals 20% more damage, generate 20% more fury, a 15% chance to generate additional soul fragment. Spirit Bomb and Soul Cleave, a 12% chance to deal 50% more damage and cause targets they hit to deal 15% less to you. Curious to see how this works for mitigation for Vengeance. I feel like in PvE, the only time we really see Vengeance, like Mythic Plus, is when you literally can't tank the mobs and you're just outrunning them, so this kind of stuff might not matter too much for them. It really just depends on output and tuning as far as which tank is going to be the best in PvE. I do wonder if there's some cheesy PvP thing in there. Boomkin, Star Surge and Starfall increase the damage of your next Wrath or Starfire by 50%, stacking up to 3 times. So this does synergize really effectively with one of the talents near the top, which is like as a chance to change your Wrath to astral damage and get it modified. So you, with this set bonus, you're probably going to have to play that talent, and there's going to be a huge modified hard-casted Wrath or Starfire that just blows something up. 4-piece, when you enter Eclipse, your next Star Surge and Starfall cost no astral power and deal 50% increased damage. That's a really crazy way to just always get burst if you're able to cast and rotate through Eclipses. Do note, though, now you don't have move casting. It was already really hard to cast as a Boomkin, so getting in and out of these Eclipses might not be as easy as you think for PvP, but in PvE, even this seems really strong. Feral, Rip and Ferocious Bite damage increase. It's kind of strange to me that they've got Ferocious Bite included in here when they wanted Feral to be all about bleeds. Finishing moves grant 1% crit for each combo point spent for 5 seconds. So 5% crit buff, basically. Kind of harkens back to their old buff from Wrath of Lich King with the 5% crit aura. So it's kind of cool, niche. Maybe I was expecting a little more emphasis on bleeds. That's how much they've talked about bleeds. Guardian, which has not really gotten any attention. Gore has a 5% increased chance to trigger. Gore also increases Mangle's damage by 10%. Mangle and Thrash deal 5% increased damage. Mangle heals you for 100% of the damage it deals. Guardian was already kind of like really self-sufficient as a tank with Frenzied Regen, so a bit surprised to see it getting even more sustain. Good AoE damage, good single target damage, pretty solid overall. Restoration Druid, Rejuvenation, Life Bloom, Wild Growth, Efflorescence, and Tranquility. Chance to critically heal is increased by 10%. I can't remember what talents there were that have to do with Life Bloom critting, but that seems like it could be really good. Set bonus, Efflorescence, Critical Strike heals, increase the healing of your next Wild Growth, stacking up to 5 times. Life Bloom, Critical Heals, reduce the cooldown of Nature's Swiftness by 2 seconds. That is broken. Wait a minute. I was reading the first half of this, like, wait, that's garbage in PvP. And then I read this, I'm like, this is broken. Like, you're going to play Crit Resto Druid and probably just never have a cooldown on Nature's Swiftness because you can play 2 Life Blooms. And if they're all critting with 2 Life Blooms, I'm pretty sure you just always have an S. So there's got to be some sort of internal cooldown on this, or else this is the most broken thing in the game. Devastation Evoker. All right, what are the dragons getting? Increases Empower spell chance to critically strike by 5%, and empowered spells increase your chance to critically strike by 5% for 6 seconds. Empowered spells have a 25% chance to grant you 6 seconds of Fury of the Aspects without causing Sated. Oh, so you can get your Bloodlust using your big breath attacks. I know it was already really tough to figure out a spot to fit these in. So getting a Bloodlust off using a Fire Breath makes me a lot more appealed to press that in PvP. So this is actually a pretty cool way of getting me to want to press those charged abilities. Going to give me a really big boost of haste. I'm assuming Fury Aspects is their lust, right? I'm not mistaken on that because it says sated. This little crit thingy, most of your damage in PvP on Devastation Evoker comes from like RNG proccing Eternity Surge on your channeled ability. If you get that proc, you do a ton of damage. If you don't, you're not really doing a lot. So this doesn't really affect that proc too much. And maybe tuning will readjust that and it'll be more threatening outside of just that proc window. But this is a cool way of getting me to use the Fire Breath. Fire Dargon. I'm still sick. I can't do that. Preservation, the healing spec for Evoker. Empowered spells increase Reversion's chance to critically heal by 5% for 6 seconds. Reversion healing has a chance to cause your next living flame to cast instantly and deal 20% increased damage or healing second up to 2 times. So that could be really good for getting instant healing. Now, that was something that the spec was really lacking. So it's nice to see a lot of these set bonuses were either focusing on like a known weakness of a class and trying to shore that up, or emphasizing down on like a fantasy element of the spec. These are really well done considering how simple they are. And honestly, I feel like simplicity is not always bad. Beast Mastery Hunter, kill command damage increased by 10%, has a 10% chance to reset the cooldown of Barb Shot. That is going to give you maybe a reason to press kill command. I know in Shadowlands in PvP you'll never press it, so maybe that'll make you press it. Barb Shot has a 50% chance to make your next Cobra Shot or multi-shot consume no focus. So a lot of like weaving of abilities here with this. I really like that. Trying to incentivize the other core abilities so that hopefully they don't end up just pressing one button, at least when it comes to PvP. I'm not sure about PvE. This could be really good for AoE as well if you get a proc and you can use a lot of multi-shots in PvE. Marksmanship, Arcane Shot and multi-shot critical hits cause your next aimed shot to cast 50% faster and cause the target to bleed for 6 seconds. Ranged auto attacks have a 10% chance to give your next arcane or multi-shot a 100% chance to critically strike. Oh my god, so you're just proccing guaranteed arcane shot crits, which make you go omega fast aim shots with bleeds. You're a single target burst monster. You're a monster. Oh my god, these set bonuses just get crazier as I go down. Survival, set bonus, Raptor Strike and Mongoose Strike, Carve and Butchery damage. Okay, just flat out 10% damage. Raptor Strike, Mongoose Bite, Carve, and Butcher, a 10% chance to make your next Raptor Strike, Mongoose Bite, Carve, or Butchery cost no focus. I do like that, using these again as a tuning knob, because these are very similar numbers to what I would want to see for PvP tuning, so that classes are doing damage without their cooldowns, right? Like, this doesn't require True Shot. This doesn't require coordinated assaults. This is just damage all the time, so this is really good. Arcane, for each arcane charge, Arcane Blast critical strike chances increase by 5%. We read these on my previous video. Arcane Explosion by 3%. When Arcane Blast and Arcane Explosion critically strike on at least one target, the critical strike chance next barrage is increased by 10%, stacking it to 4 times. So aiming to get really big barrages and also hard cast your blast, which is really good. Fire, Pyroblast, and Flame Strikes cast with Hot Streak deal 10% increased damage. And then Fire Blast, Phoenix Flames, and Fireball deal 10% increased damage. And the chance to critically strike is increased by 10%. It's probably just translates into more damage during Combust. I really don't see Fire Mage transitioning into anything other than a Combust bot. I'd really like it to go back to how it is in older expansions like Cataclysm or even Wrath, but this is going to be really good, right? It's just 10% damage during Combust. Frost, Ice Lance and Frozen Orb damage increased by 10%. Consuming Fingers of Frost increases Blizzard's damage by 25% and Frostbolt damage by 50%. So you can get some really fat icicle stacks with that 50% Frostbolt damage. This could be a lot of fun with the Glacial Spike build that I've seen jumping around right here. Very exciting for Frost. Brew Mastery. Hitting an enemy with Tiger Palm or Spinning Crane Kick grants Brewmaster's Rhythm, increasing damage dealt and reducing damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking it to 4 times. For each stack of Brewmaster's Rhythm, Purifying Brew clears 3% more of your damage delayed with Stagger. This does not seem nearly as good to me, but I don't really understand Brewmaster tank and PvE to really know, comparatively to the other tanks. So the other tanks seem like they're getting way more damage. And I feel like damage matters more than mitigation, but I could be wrong. This doesn't stand out as being super OP in PvP either. Mistweaver, healing from your Enveloping Mist, Essence Font, and Vivify is increased by 15% on targets with Renewing Mist. Essence Font and Vivify healing are increased by 10%, and your Renewing Mists on targets healed by Essence Font are extended by 1 second for each heal. I really don't like all this emphasis on Essence Font. I'm glad Vivify is at least included in this, but I'm not super excited about Essence Font. Fists of Fury damage, the damage dealt by your next... Fists of Fury increases the damage of your next 2 Rising Sun Kicks or Spinning Crane Kicks by 30%. Oh, Fists of Fury now enhances your next 3 Rising Sun kicks or Spinning Crane kicks, and enhanced kicks increase your versatility by during your next fists by 5%, stacking up to 3 times. Oh my god, you are going to be a weaving monster of damage. Oh my god, on Windwalker. Holy Paladin. Hopefully Paladin's got something good, because I feel you guys have been lacking lately. Holy Shock increases the critical hit chance of your next heal within 10 seconds by 10%. Meh. When your direct healing spell critically strike, your next Holy Shock deals 30% increased damage or healing. Just trying to feed into each other like an engine, kind of like how it does in Wrath. I kind of like the Holy Shock feeding engine, just going into the strength of it. Doesn't really stand out right now, to me at least. Prop Paladin, Avenger's Shield grants you versatility of light, increasing the versatility of you and your closest ally by 4%. I mean, that seems really good for like, what's the word? You know how Power Infusion has been talked about so much, being like crazy overpowered in PvE and raids? Well, Prop Paladins can now buff a DPS by 4% verse. Might be a reason to bring a Prop Pally tank, right? Over another class or something. Because I've been seeing those graphs broken down a lot on like what's the reason to bring a class. Casting Hammer of Righteous / Blessed Hammer increases your parry X or for Y seconds, extends the duration of your versatility of light by 1 second. I have no idea what that means, but it doesn't seem that great to me. It's all mitigation, no damage, and I feel like tanks want damage. Retribution. Set bonus Blade of Justice and Judgment grants Crusader Strength, increasing the damage of your next Crusader Strike or Consecrate by, oh god, dude, 200% increase Consecrate damage. They really want you to press this button. Like, maybe in PvE that's going to be dope, but if this means you have to play Consecrate in some weird way of getting someone to stay in it, I'm a bit worried. Especially considering like Crusader Strike does no damage at all, so even with 200% increase, I don't think it's going to do anything. When you consume Crusader Strength, the damage of your next Blade of Justice is increased by 50% for each stack of the Crusader, so 100%. Again, feeding back into each other, similar to the Holy One. Pretty straightforward. Don't really like, again, anything focusing on like Consecrate, Essence Font, probably not going to be great in PvP. Discipline Priest. Oops, we scrolled past it. Casting Powered Shield increases the effectiveness of your next direct damage or healing spell by 10%. That's really good. Penance increases the strength of your next Powered Shield by 100% of its damage or 30% of its healing. Ooh, so you can risk using the Penance offensively to get a bigger shield. And then when you get the bigger shield, it's going to increase the damage of the next, you know. Again, just feeding into each other, good synergies, not like over the top. Casting Prayer of Mending reduces the cast time of your next heal or Prayer of Healing by 1 second. It increases their Holy Word cooldown reduction effect by 2 seconds. Ooh. Your next heal or prayer. So using Palm to speed up your casts. When Holy Word Serenity or Holy Word Sanctify finish their cooldown, you gain 15% crit chance by 8 seconds. Be a good way of maybe getting like a big Holy Fire crit or something. Shadow. Mind Blast increases the damage of your next Devouring Plague or Mind Seer by 20%, stacking up to 3 times. So in a lot of Mind Blast builds, so this actually I feel like has a lot of like emphasis on leaning into Mind Blast. Devouring Plague and Mind Seer increase your haste by 5% for 8 seconds. It's going to give you a lot of burst damage, which is something Shadow's been missing, at least in PvP, which should be interesting to see it play out. The buff to Mind Seer makes me think it'll be good in PvE. So I like that they're covering everything about the class. You know, if this is only Mind Seer, then PvP players would be like, what are you doing? But like having both included means that everybody wins, right? So this is actually a really good way of going about the set bonuses. Assassination. Envenom also increases your weapon's poisons damage by 10%. And when your weapon's poisons deal direct damage, 1 second. I'm just making sure that I don't log out of what's it called here. I've realized how long this video is going on. Envenom also increases your weapon's poisons damage by 10%. When your weapon poisons deal direct damage, you have a 50% chance to gain septic wounds, increasing your bleed damage by 2% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Seems like it would take a lot of ramp to get this going. But focusing on the poisons and the bleeds is good, but this just feels like a really long ramp. Outlaw Dispatch increases the damage of your next Sinister Strike or Ambush by 20% per combo point. That's really good for consistent damage. Half cost use of Pistol Shot granted by Sinister Strike increases the damage of your next Dispatch by 50%. Pretty standard pattern we've seen of like a spender building into, repeating back into the builder. Subtlety. Eviscerate and Black Powder increase the damage and critical strike chance of your next backstab, Shadow Strike, and Shuriken Storm by 2% per combo point spent. Okay. Backstab, Shadow Strike, and Shuriken Storm critical strike increases the damage of Eviscerate and Rusher by 15% and damage of Black Powder. So I think this section is a lot more beneficial than the other way around. I don't know if Gloomblade or anything exists still for Subtlety. It's been a while since I looked at it, but could maybe have some emphasis on it there. Elemental Shaman, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Lava Burst increase the damage of your next Earth Shock or Earthquake by 2%, stacking up to 10 times. Again, really long ramp. Casting Earth Shock or Earthquake increases your Mastery by 10%. I don't know how good Mastery is for Ellie. For some reason, that doesn't pop out to me as being very good for Ellie, but I can't remember. Storm Strike increases the damage of your next Lava Lash by 10% and causes it to generate 1 additional stack of Maelstrom Weapon. Consuming Maelstrom Weapon stacks reduce the cooldown of Storm Strike, Lava Lash, Crash Lightning, Flame Shock, and Frost Shock by 0.5 seconds per stack chosen randomly. So the spell is chosen randomly, but the first one has emphasis on Lava Lash, which a lot of talents focus around Lava Lash, which could have emphasis on the way your talents are built just from the set bonus, which is something I thought they didn't want to do. Restoration Shaman. While Healing Stream Totem Cloudburst is active, your chance to critically strike is increased by 10%. So killing those totems seems to be really important in PvP. When Healing Stream Totem Cloudburst expire or die, you gain 10% haste. So cycling between... Oh, so if you kill the totem, you give him haste. Well, that's not very nice. Am I supposed to kill the totem or not? Okay. Affliction Warlock. When Agony grants you a Soul Shard, you have a chance to gain Cruel Inspiration, increasing your haste by 12%. That's really good. Cruel Inspiration also grants 2 charges of Cruel Epiphany, up to 5 charges. Each charge of Cruel Epiphany increases the damage of your next Malefic Rapture or Seed of Corruption by 40%. Again, Malefic Rapture and PvP Resident Sleeper. Demonology, Demon Bolt, and Fell Storm damage increased by 20%. Demon Bolt has a 20% or has a chance to make your next hand of Gul'dan instant and deal 50% increased damage. That's really good. These are really good for Demo. Really good. Destruction, consuming Soul Shards has a chance to grant you Chaos Maelstrom, increasing your critical strike chance by 10% for 10 seconds. During Chaos Maelstrom, your Chaos Bolt, Conflagrate, Incinerate critical strikes explode on the target, dealing 2 to 10% of damage dealt to enemies within 8 yards. Damage reduced beyond 5 targets. It's so bad. I mean, the 10% critical strike chance is going to be good for really big Chaos Bolts, but this cleave damage is just random splash, trash, Mythic Plus mob trash. Like, I mean, this is a good Mythic Plus bonus probably, but PvP is... We don't care about that. And now finally, Warrior. Arms Warrior. Mortal Strike and Cleave damage and chance to critically strike increased by 10%. Mortal Strike, Cleave, and Execute critical strikes increase your damage and critical strike chance by 5%. Just focusing around crit for Warrior. I think it makes sense. Executes chance to critically strike increased by 10%. Sudden Death's chance to reset the cooldown of Execute and make it usable on any target regardless of health is greatly increased for Fury. So interesting. Focusing around Sudden Death for Fury. Prot Warrior. Revenge grants your Vanguard's Determination, increasing your damage done and reducing damage you take by 4% for 5 seconds. During Vanguard's Determination, gain Ignore Pain equal to 10% of the damage you deal. That could be really good auto mitigation and getting damage out. Even in PvP, that could actually be really good. So Warrior not completely jumping off the page to me here, but this is the first pass. They said they didn't want them to be over complex. I think for most of the classes, except for, what was it, like the Consecrate one for Paladin, the Essence Font one, and the Destro Lock one were the ones that stood out as like not really great in PvP at least. And then some of the tank ones either just have no damage increases and other ones do. And I feel like the ones that do, unless they're using it as a tuning knob, and one of them is going to be better than the other one no matter what. It's kind of tough to say. But some of them are very exciting. Like the Marksmanship Hunter one was really cool. The Boomkin one. A lot of the other ones actually were really solid. So overall, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Seems like a good direction. They've targeted abilities outside of cooldowns, tried to limit talents. I think something like Enhance might have their talents impacted by this. But other than that, I think that for most of these classes, you should be pretty excited. Let me know in the comments down below what one stood out to you the most for your class, or maybe getting you interested in a class. And other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I will catch you in the next one.